going to tell you a little bit about our Giving Day and our pupil involvement in Giving Day, and how we worked with Buffalo and SuperKind this year. Our theme this year was Widening Worlds, Transforming Lives. We talk about LWC a lot. Our mantra is Widening Worlds. So bringing that into raising money for our foundation where we transform lives as well was important. So what were the aims of our Giving Day this year? Obviously, to raise money for our foundation, and to increase a culture of philanthropy across the whole of the LWC community, our pupils, parents, staff, alumni, everybody, corporate supporters and partners. But also this year, last time we really noticed that the kids enjoyed it, got really involved, but there was no actual transaction for them. They were having a lot of good fun and their parents were donating and Sternians were donating, but they themselves weren't really, they just didn't really understand philanthropy and that they were actually involved in giving. And we really wanted to kind of improve that this year. Obviously, we had massive concerns about how the Giving Day was going to go because VAT had just come in on fees in January. And we did even have that conversation about whether we should even run a Giving Day, whether it was going to be successful or not this year. But our solution was about really involving our pupils and building that excitement and their involvement, to drive more traffic to the Giving Day. The more buzz there is that goes on on the campus across those 2 days helps drives traffic. So we came up with the idea, if you think about our theme, Widening Worlds, Transforming Lives, we wanted to build some world themes in there. So we had an Around the World challenge, which was where pupils, staff, parents and Sternians could run their morning jog and upload their mileage on an electronic form. The kids on campus were, as you can see, on exercise bikes. There was a swimathon. The kids were doing all sorts of things, but it was for everybody. Anyone around the world could log their around the world steps or kilometers. The swimathon was amazing. Some of the kids even did 20 kilometers. I mean, absolutely extraordinary. We had a world map challenge where, again, pupils were encouraged, but we did also open it up to staff and our alumni, our Sternians, where they could say, where have you been in the world? That's been amazing. Where do you love in the world? Which strange place have you been? And so there was a big map up in geography, and the geography teachers were putting pins in and writing little notes about who'd been there and why it was such a great place. Our Giving Days were on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So on the Tuesday night, we had boarding house evening activities, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. We had an LWC's Got Talent for music and drama. On the main lawn outside the dining hall, we had old-fashioned children's games, as you can see, hula hoops. We had egg and spoon race, guess the number of sweets in a jar. Those little things that evoke really young childhood memories that we really wanted to get our kids to enjoy, our pupils to enjoy. We had hot chocolate and cookies at break time, which they wouldn't normally get. So that made those 2 days different. Our enterprise and entrepreneurship, we do a BTEC in enterprise and entrepreneurship here, and in the spring term they have to do a project, and they have to. It's a social project, and they have to create a product or a service and sell it to make profit for a cause. And this year, all the teams, there are 5 different teams, chose to support the foundation as their charity. We also had music at lunchtime and break times out of the speakers around campus, which again, we wouldn't normally have. So that just made the day different. The pupils felt it was a different couple of days. And we had the screens up around campus also had the Giving Day totals on. And that's the key thing, actually, engaging different pupils in different ways. Just doing sport doesn't work. There are plenty of the pupils here who don't love sport, and we wanted to make sure that everyone had the opportunity. So as I said, on Tuesday night, all the boarding houses each did an activity. We have 7 senior boarding houses. This is just some of the images from those nights. We had superhero football, music, singing competitions. Schoolhouse, the oldest boys' house, did aerobics. But our junior house, so our year 7 and 8s, they opted to do a colour run. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that later. So why, I suppose it is important to kind of talk about why involve pupils in these activities. Obviously, as I said earlier, it's to have a range of activities to involve as many pupils as possible, to create that buzz, make it feel different. Because the more excited they are, the more buzz there is that they've had a great day and a different day. They will then go back and tell their parents or ring them and tell them, and hopefully drive traffic to the Giving Day platform. But why else do we want to do it? Not just to raise money and drive traffic to the platform, but we really want, as I said at the beginning, we really wanted to focus this year on getting the pupils actively to participate. Dress down days, they come along in their home clothes, and just the donation goes on mum and dad's bill. There's no transaction there. There's no actually giving to charity. They just go to school and dress down. They're not really thinking about it. They're not even thinking that there's a charity element to it. They're not getting involved. They're not understanding the importance of charity and playing their part in that. So we really wanted to build on that this time. So the main thing we wanted to tell you about today was new this time was the Junior House Colour Run. So obviously the other events anyone can get involved in any time, but the Junior House Colour Run was a way to do things slightly differently. We wanted to really build engagement and get children actively fundraising themselves. So we wanted to do it as a sponsored event. This was Buffalo's idea with SuperKind about actually bringing in a sponsored element to the Giving Day, so that you could look at whether a family's donation, if they were just giving a donation onto the platform, how that would compare to if you were asked a child to fundraise and what the difference would be. Would you raise more money doing one or the other? But we needed a vehicle to do that sponsorship for. We didn't really want to be, doing Google Forms and having lots of little bits of money coming in, and obviously using Just Giving. The children are too young to officially, legally have a Just Giving account of their own. So we had been talking to SuperKind a little bit before with regards to our pupil charity committee. I'll tell you a little bit more about SuperKind in a second. And Buffalo, obviously, we're also talking to them, and they had suggested to us about working with SuperKind to do this sponsored event. So it seemed like a really good opportunity for us to experiment. So SuperKind, as Lou said earlier, is a fundraising platform built for schools that can be legally used from the under 18s. But what I was amazed when I came across them was it's free. I couldn't quite believe that we weren't having to subscribe to use this within our schools. So I absolutely urge all IDPE members to really have a look at SuperKind and bring it into their schools. It's totally free to use. It's safe for children to raise money from, whether that's for their own school or for other charities. There's no putting sponsorship forms, Google Forms out, and obviously none of us have been collecting cash recently, but there's none of that either. But the other side of it is the social enterprise side of it. They've got loads of resources for pupils, parents, teachers about how to fundraise, how to campaign, and things like that. And it's amazing, and I think they are playing a brilliant role in educating and empowering our young people. And yes, they are helping to create the next generation of change makers. But remember, those children who are learning about that and understanding the value of philanthropy and helping in the world, they are our future donors. So there is a good reason to get involved from our side, from a development side. So what did it involve on working with SuperKind and putting this colour run in place? We had to set up a charity account, which was super easy, and set up a campaign. You can see on the right hand side roughly what it looks like. We wrote the email for the house parent to send to the junior house parents with instructions on how they set up a pupil page linked to the account, and asked them to go and find 10 donors for their colour run. And 59 of the pupils signed up and raised money, and they hope to raise £1,000. The house, that's what they've targeted themselves with, but they raised almost £7,000. And the interesting bit was that with these figures down here of average gifts during Giving Day, you can see £118 was the average family gift through SuperKind, so for the colour run. What was really interesting is that some of those families also then donated themselves on the platform, which upped that average gift to £238. Those junior house parents who only gave to the platform and didn't get involved in the colour run, it was only £53. Now that's a massive difference, which was really interesting. And just the other stat on there was the average gift for a parent from the other years, which was 207. And that they are slightly skewed because there were some quite big gifts from some of those. So I suppose we probably could have taken that out. But anyway, so what you can see there is that there is a difference with how much money that those families were giving. If you read this quote down here, I thought that was really interesting. I was talking to a parent there who basically said their child hadn't really got it. They didn't understand why they were having to fill out this form and why they were having to do this, until he started asking for money and he could see those donations going up, which was, of course, he loved it. It got him excited that he was achieving something. But I think it was his family were then asking him questions about the foundation and about the impact of the foundation. And that, for me, when the mum was saying that, made me feel great. I just thought, wow, these kids are now understanding the value of charity and philanthropy. They're actually learning about their own charity, their school's own charity, and having to talk about it. And then he realized what a difference he was making. He started encouraging his friends who hadn't signed up to sign up. So yeah, it was brilliant. As I said earlier, I don't think using SuperKind is just limited to Giving Days. Obviously, it played a role and that was brilliant. But we've used it already for a run that we did in May for the Stern Challenge, where they run 100 kilometres in one day. They're all mad. And we're looking to use it for our Pupil Charity Committee. This just gives you another image of what it looks like if you sign up to SuperKind, what you've got there. You can have all your different challenges there, and it gives you nice information about what you've got, what you've been raising. As you can see, 59 families on the Giving Day colour run and 40 participants in the Stern Challenge. So that's 99 people who we could have got donations from. But by doing it through SuperKind and encouraging them to ask for more donations, we reached 4 times that many donor-wise, spreading our message to that many more people, which was excellent. So as you can see, I'm really excited about SuperKind. I think for us as IDPE members, having an amazing free resource to use for sponsored events throughout the year, but actually finding a way to weave that into your Giving Day and having an element of your Giving Day through that will be brilliant. But the bit about inspiring a lifelong sense of philanthropy in our pupils it means a lot more, actually, encouraging them to meaningfully connect to their world through active participation, where they're actively doing something themselves, they're asking for that money, they're having to think about how to do that, is a real plus for us. They, as I said earlier, they're our future donors, but more importantly, they're going to grow up to be socially responsible adults. So yeah, definitely consider using it as part of your Giving Day plan, but also how you might use it across your school more broadly. I think that's it. You've heard enough from me. Thank you so much for listening, and can we answer any questions for you?